How you doing, everybody? Arcader Zero here with another role-playing game review. It's not really a full role-playing game, though. It is what they call a play test, but it's a big deal because it's Marvel, and Marvel has a pretty decent history with role-playing games. Obviously, going back way back to TSR with their Phase Rip styles of games, which still inspires more role-playing games to this very date. And then they had the Saga card game, which was a role playing game with cards. It was actually kind of fun. I really liked that. The character creation system was really kind of neat in that, and the action resolution was different than just using dice. They had another role playing game, and I'll be honest, I never played it, and I can't remember the exact name of it, but you used stones. You had like an economy. So you had an economy of these like little gems or stones or whatever you kept on your character sheet, and you push them around and everything. I never played that one. That one really didn't kind of, I don't know, float my boat, I guess. And then the most excellent Cortex system, which was really good, but I think it turned a lot of people off because uh, Cortex can do so many things, and they were just saying, "Hey, look what we can do here." Lesson put in a stat for how well people work either alone or as a team or just with one other person, with a buddy. Some people had problems wrapping their brain around that aspect of it, but I enjoyed it. But I think it could have done much better and in Cortex Prime. But that's just me. Cortex Prime, I think, is the pinnacle of cinematic role-playing game storytelling. But let's take a look at this. This is the multiverse role-playing game, Marvel Multiverse role-playing game. First of all, let's start off with things that it does really right. And this isn't a review because this is a play test. So this is kind of like feedback. Hopefully, someone there will see the feedback that I'm giving and say, hey, maybe that makes sense, maybe it doesn't. But there's some things that I've noticed, and I don't claim to be an expert on it. I haven't played it yet. It just came in this past week. So I've been glancing through it. Um, and I might make mistakes when I read something. So don't say, oh, Tom, that's on page 34. Well, fuck it. I didn't read page 34 yet. I bounce around just to see what it's really like. I don't know. I got a weird system when I get a new role playing game, what I look for. I think everybody does the same thing. All right. So let's talk about some of the things it does right. First of all, the word multiverse. All right. We got multiverse, Doctor Strange new movie coming out. I think that's a smart move because what I'd really want to play in is the MCU. The comic books, I'll be honest with you, I collected them like crazy when I was a kid, but kind of fell off when I was in college because I was poor. And now I kind of get my superhero fill from the movies, and the movies is what I'm really vested in. I would really like to see some things tailored around that. But this is obviously to the comics, not so much a bad thing. Can easily translate over to the cinematic universe that's out there. I guess we'll learn more when Doctor Strange comes out. Maybe they'll bring up this book. Who knows? Um, so that was really good. Um, the dice mechanic in it, okay, it's kind of clever, and I think it's going to work. They have in it the way it's clever. It's the 616 dice mechanic. You got 3d6, and one of them is a different color. It's a special die. It's like your Marvel die, right? And if you roll a one on that, that's like a critical success, whereas a one on the other dice is not. It's bad. Um, and the reason why that's so clever is because the comic book universe is the 616 universe. So the person who's writing this knows their stuff about Marvel. I'll give them that. And that dice mechanic, I think, is very clever. The other clever thing they did was the stats. You have might, agility, resilience, um, vigilance, ego, and logic. It spells Marvel. Kudos to you, man. You worked really hard on that acronym, coming up with stats, but you did a good job at that. I like that a lot. Um, it's a weird book. You've got all these different things that come into play when you're making a character or when you're playing, um, and it's a lot. I feel even a little bit overwhelmed because you have your rank, which is essentially like a level. Like in D&D, you have levels, level 1 through 20. Well, here you have rank levels like 0 through 25. And those determine a lot of things about your character, like starting stats and health and everything else. It's kind of strange in that way. And then you have like it's almost like character classes. Let me see if I can find the. I think do they call them? I think they call them archetypes maybe here. Um, yeah. So okay. So you have like your blaster. Okay, it's gonna, and if you're a blaster rank 4, you're going to get a starting might, your starting agility, your fight damage, rain damage, all that's in there. Um, so that's kind of weird. So uh, let's see, you've got your bruiser, your genius. They have fight damage and rain damage. Whether or not they have a blaster, I don't know, but they've got range damage already. Um, you got your protector. I guess that's like the defender, striker, like your like daredevil types and everything else. But then you got a weird one called polymath. And to me, when I first heard that, it's like, oh, like super genius. No, no, polymath just means that you're good at everything. Look at that. See, here we go. Polymath. I don't know if it really focused on it. So, and they show a picture of Captain Marvel, but if we go to the actual character sheet for Captain Marvel, is she a polymath? Nope, she's a blaster. All right, so that was kind of confusing me. All right, Captain Marvel's good at everything. I could see that. I mean, she's a very well-rounded. Nah, she is ultimately a blaster. Tony Stark is a polymath. When I first saw that character sheet, I was like, oh yeah, he's a polymath. He's super smart. You know, he's genius. But then you've got Miles Morales, also a polymath, and Thor. Thor's a polymath, and somehow is 5 ranks less than Captain Marvel. That could be true. I don't know. I know Captain Marvel's like the ultimate strongest in the MCU, but Thor's got to be way up there. You know, give him at least rank 24. I don't know what the ranks, how it really impacts it or not. So that is kind of strange. Okay, and having these different archetypes. Then you have your backstories and traits. That's where you're going to get like if you're uh, like a like if you're super rich or you have secret identity, things that can affect the story. Though I'm not really sure how it does because they don't really put a lot of rules into that. You know, it's just kind of what you are. And then they have another thing, um, and it was like a the powers list with trees because see those trees and everything. So you have like your battle suit, your blades, your cybernetics powers, your energy control, your firearms, um, martial arts, shield bearer, spider powers, super strength tree, the tactical mastery, weather control. Now they leave out a lot of powers, and I can't fault them because it is just play test. It's not the final book, but like super speed, where is that? Let's see. Does it have sorcery? It has cybernetics, martial arts plus shield. I don't see anything for sorcery or magic in here, which is we need Doctor Strange, man. But again, it could come down the line. But then we get to the power description. This is where I have a real issue because it becomes overly complex, and a lot of things seem like they could be really simplified a lot. First of all, you have like these static like armor level 1, armor level 2, armor 3, armor 4, um, augmented intelligence. But you have like a lot of these weird that it almost seems like a power effect, like a description, like blowback, blow down. All right, and there is a difference. Both of them have a power set and then a prerequisite. Blowdown has no prerequisite, but prerequisite for blowback, you need blowdown before you get blowback. Um, at least people are getting blown in the game. Let's see, body sphere. That's an actual power, but there's no super speed. But we got body sphere. Both guns blazing. Once again, seems more like an effect than an actual power. One of the ones that I had my trouble wrapping my brain around was banging heads. That's a cool picture, by the way. The art in this is fantastic, I should say. It should be. It's Marvel. Marvel learned their lesson. I just remember the old TSR Marvel where the art, you see like great artists like John Byrne and George Perez and everybody back in the 70s and 80s. And then you get the role playing game. Like, who the fuck drew this? And no offense to the original artist if he's still alive and watching this, but uh, yeah, Marvel was putting out some pretty decent artwork in some of the comics. Maybe they were just too expensive. Who knows? Um, but anyway, they put their best foot forward with the art. So this banging heads is a power, and I don't really think it. We need to put banging heads as an actual power that you want to invest in your character. Basically, what it is taking uh, two enemy heads and banging them together. And if you don't have that power, you can't do it. Just remember that. If you see them, both bad guys standing there, and I'm like, oh, I'm going to hit their heads together. Do you have that power? No, I'm sorry. I don't. All right. Well, then you're fucked. You can't do that. You can hit one of them, though. So maybe I'm missing something. But banging heads, I'll read it out to you. Character takes two nearby enemies and slams them into each other. The character can make one fight attack and compare it to the agility and defenses of two enemies within reach. If the attack fails, it's either foe, it fails entirely. If the attack is a success against both foes, the enemy takes fight, health, bashing damage. The attack is fantastic success. Each enemy is also knocked prone. So they've got the mechanics in here. So that really, I don't know, it's kind of weird. Both guns blazing. They have one like I guess they took from Reaper from Overwatch, where you spin around and you shoot everybody around you. That's an actual power. Coiling Crush is a power. Um, they have a lot based around like Captain America's powers, like doing different things with shields. So you'd have to have a shield or something to do that. Um, Orchestra of Overkill is a power. A lot of those seem like they could be really condensed into like a multi-attack type power. Just but maybe they're just looking to give it so much flavor. It's almost too much flavor. It's like, you're baking a cake and you want it flavorful, but then like I'm just going to throw in everything. This is some barbecue spice. I'll put there in because barbecue is good. Might not be good in the cake though. Um, let's see. Slice and dice. Slip freeze. Slow motion shoot dodge. That can kind of be applied to speed. Also, the to find the any benchmarks is really hard in here because your character has a might score. Okay, um, so that should determine how much you lift, and as your might goes up, like a whole bunch of bonuses and everything else goes up. But then you have a power called Mighty, and basically what that does is it says, well, we'll treat your character one size larger than what it is for like carrying capacity, damage, and all that kind of stuff. Um, which I don't know, that seems kind of cumbersome, kind of clumsy, in my opinion. Maybe other people feel different, but what it reminded me of a Baron, where you had your strength score, but then you had your super strength score down at the bottom. Um, it kind of reminded me of that. The dice mechanic in it is you're rolling versus target numbers. And of course, you can get all these different modifiers from your powers or abilities to modify your roll. Um, or it could be more difficult, or you could have be Obi-Wan, have the high ground, have a bonus or whatever to chop off a whole bunch of limbs. Who knows? Um, and they seem to borrow like a little bit, not a lot, from like Dungeons and Dragons 5e, where you have an action, a reaction. Um, they're pulling from a lot of different places. In the end, the character sheets they seem more cinematic, um, but I'll read it out to you because I think of all the things like Tony Stark could do with his suit, and depending on which Iron Man suit it is, really. But here we go. We got Iron Man. He's a rank 15 superhero. He's a polymath. It's got a nice biography, very informative. His health is 120. His focus is 120, and focus is more like an energy type of stat for you. His might score is 2. His modifier is plus 11, and his defense for might is 22. It's weird. Every stat has a defense score. His resilience is 2. That's plus 11, but his defense is 22. His logic score is an 8. His modifier is plus 17, and his defense is plus 28. Now, right underneath you have the stats. You have all the substats. And this is like really almost everything you need to know to play the game. You have an initiative modifier. Iron Man's is plus 8. You have a speed, 33, 7 spaces. Okay, so it's 5 foot squares. But it doesn't tell me how fast you can actually move. Okay. The flight speed, 495, 99 spaces. Good luck getting a 99 square playing mat. Not going to happen. His fight damage, punchy, 3d6 plus 28 plus 8. Okay, so he has 2 modifiers on there. His range damage, 3d6 plus 28 plus 8. Okay, it's the exact same thing. I would think that Tony, like, having the armor would have things that were more damaging, things that were less damaging, things that could, like, maybe stun people. But that's just me. His damage reduction is 20 versus health damage. His size is average, and his karma is 8. Now, karma, if you remember, the original Marvel Superheroes game had karma in it. Here, karma represents, if you use a point of karma, you can re-roll one of your dice. Can you? So, like, if you got a 1 on one of the regular dice, you're like, oh, no, maybe I want to re-roll that. I'm gonna use some karma and re-roll it. And that's obviously an economy that can fluctuate because you can earn more karma throughout the adventure. His powers, this is his entire power set. He's got Battle Suit is 1 power set. It's got Armor 2, Mighty 2, so he's actually counting as 2 sizes above for his strength and everything else. Lock On. I don't know what that is, but he's got it. Then he has Energy Control, Energy Beam, Energy Blast, Energy Wave. Now, maybe that affects damage. Maybe one of those does more damage. Once again, I'm not too sure. Utility, Environmental Protection, good. Flight 2, excellent. How fast he flies, I have no fucking clue. RAM, I'm sure that doesn't have to do with his random access memory and just flying into shit and doing damage. And Thermal Vision. You know, I would think he has more like computer control or something like that on there. Communications array. It just doesn't seem complete, okay, for like someone who wants to play Iron Man. Then if we look at, let's see, let's go to Thor, okay? Thor has a health of 200 and a focus of 145. His might is 9, but he also has mighty 4. So he's like one of the strongest ones out there. He's got blow away, blow back, blow down. He's blowing everybody. Control weather, lightning barrage, lightning strike, thunder, flight 2. Now you were saying, well, what about Mjolnir? You know, what about all the abilities? That's included under the modifiers. His range damage 3d6 plus 39 plus 4, which is actually less than his fight damage, which is 3d6 plus 39 plus 9. Mjolnir, range, unlimited. Bashing damage, can attack like power Rico Shield. Rico Shield is, you know, like a ricochet power with like Captain America's shield. He hits against a whole bunch of people and always comes back to him. Returns upon command, only lifted by worthy. So that's all like kind of GM fiat stuff, you know? So what happens if I just put my hammer down on the bad guy? Is he able to get up? That's really up to the GM. Probably not. His size is big. And his karma is 10. He's got traits of authority, battle ready, combat expert, combat reflexes, connections, outsiders, enhanced physique. Good for him. Extra career, fresh eyes. I don't know why that makes me laugh. You got fresh eyes. God heritage, massive, powerful public identity, regal signature weapon, stranger and worship. It should be noticed that they do have like, you know, kind of like species classes in here. Like you could be a mutant, you could be a god, you could be all these different things, but it really has no effect on your abilities or your statistics. It's just kind of flavoring, which is also kind of weird. But anyway, this is my first glance at it. My first opinion um, when looking through this. I haven't played it. It looks like once you get down to it, it would be easy to play, easy to figure out because you're only rolling a few set of dice, and there's only so many statistics you have. For the game master, you just have to kind of wrap your brain around uh, the type of action you're doing, whether it's a skill action or like a trade action or a um, a combat action, that type of thing. And it should be noted the skills in here, skills do not have ratings in here. They're kind of like clumped in with traits. Um, and so you'll be rolling against your base statistics with bonuses or minuses. But you can't have like a low intelligence person who is like super great at interdimensional theories or whatever, or something like that, who's just happen to be really skilled at something, but forgets to put the dishes away or something like that. Who knows? Did any of you guys pick it up? What do you guys think? That's my first impression. And it's not a bad start. I say it needs polish. That would be my recommendation. I think they're onto something, and you know what? I don't care what they put in it, but if they put the MCU guys right on the cover, I'll fucking buy it in a second. I'll buy two. But I'm sure that would be more expensive to license, the Holy Trinity of Christianity on there. Chris Hemsworth, Chris Evans, Chris Pratt, and Robert Downey Jr., and all those other billionaires that are out there right now. Anyway, let me know what you think. My first impression, there it is. Marvel's Multiverse Role-Playing Game. Looking forward to how this really develops. Anyway, have a great day, everybody. Thanks for watching.